think you can walk in here and humiliate me? You have no idea who you're dealing with! Ah! Look at her face!
Keep laughing. When I'm done, none of you will.
Are you? Sure, you're in the right place. Maybe come back when you're actually ready to buy. No? We don't have time for that today. Marissa's pulse hammered as she stood in the middle of her own showroom, watching staff drift past her like she was air. They laughed at her hoodie, avoided her questions, then sprinted to greet the next customer who looked richer and lighter. She didn't reveal herself. Not yet. She just watched the poison spread until Monday morning when the woman they ignored returned in heels and authority. This is the story of a black CEO who went undercover at her dealership, and what she witnessed shattered everything. Welcome, story lovers. From where are you watching? Hit the like button and drop your city name in the comments so we can see how far our story travels. Marissa. Cole had learned to move through rooms that weren't built for her and still make them hers. She was 38, sharp-eyed, and quietly relentless. The kind of woman who didn't need to raise her voice to command attention. 10 years earlier, she'd walked into Northgate Motors as a finance manager with a borrowed blazer and a notebook full of ideas. Now she was the CEO of the entire dealership group, 6 locations across the city. A reputation for fair pricing and a glossy brand that said family, trust, community. On paper, Northgate was a success story people loved to point at. A black woman at the top of a traditionally white male industry. A company that sponsored youth programs and posted smiling photos of diverse staff under neon showroom lights. Marissa knew how hard it had been to build that image and how fragile it could be if the culture underneath didn't match it. Lately, though, something felt off. Numbers were still substantial, but online reviews had shifted, less about service, more about being dismissed, rushed, or not taken seriously. A few customers had even used the phrase judged the moment I walked in. Her managers assured her it was random frustration, the kind that comes with high-pressure sales. Still, the pattern gnawed at her. Marissa had been raised by a mother who worked 2 jobs and still found time to teach her that respect wasn't something you waited for. You demanded it with excellence. But she also knew excellence didn't stop bias from slipping through cracks. It could hide behind smiles. It could wear a company polo and still look right through someone. So on a cool Friday afternoon, she made a decision she didn't announce to anyone. No assistants, no security, no CEO visit warning. She would go in alone, dressed like an ordinary customer, and see her flagship showroom the way the world saw it. She told herself it was just a check-in, a quiet temperature read. But as she stepped toward the dealership doors, a faint unease rose in her chest, like she was walking into a story she already knew too well. Only this time, it was wearing her company's name. Marissa didn't choose an elaborate disguise. She didn't need one. In this world, the easiest way to become invisible is to stop looking expensive. She left the tailored suits in her closet and pulled on faded jeans, a gray hoodie, and scuffed sneakers. Her hair was tucked beneath a simple cap. No jewelry beyond a small wedding band. She was the version of herself that people ignored. Every day, without realizing it, the showroom smelled like new leather and lemon polish. Bright banners promised VIP treatment, and everyone approved. A row of salespeople clustered near the front desk, laughing over something on a phone. Their eyes slid past her like she was part of the furniture. She waited for the regular rhythm of greetings, someone stepping forward, offering help, asking what she was looking for. Nothing came. She wandered toward a sleek black SUV, running her fingers lightly along the door handle. A salesman walked by close enough to notice her, then veered away. Another glanced up, then returned to his conversation. Their idle smiles remained, but she could feel the invisible verdict settling on her. Not serious. Not worth time. A few minutes later, a couple entered, white, polished, dressed in business casual with a designer stroller between them. The response was instant. 2 staff members broke away at once, greeting them with eager warmth. Coffee was offered. A chair was pulled out. The couple barely reached the center of the showroom before they were surrounded by service that felt like choreography. Marissa stood a few car lengths away, watching the difference play out in real time. It wasn't subtle. It was almost casual, like this was the showroom's natural breathing pattern. Ignore her. Orbit them. She walked toward the sales desk. A young associate looked up, scanned her hoodie, and let his face flatten into polite boredom. He didn't stand. He didn't smile the way he had smiled for the couple. Marissa asked to see a sedan. She'd helped negotiate for the line months earlier. The associate gestured vaguely toward the back lot without moving his chair, as if her question was an inconvenience. She waited, expecting him to offer to take her out or to grab keys. He didn't. He simply turned back to his screen. She paced through the showroom again. There were cameras overhead, framed awards on the wall, and a giant photo of her cutting the ribbon at the flagship opening. It felt surreal to stand beneath her own smiling portrait while being treated like she didn't belong inside the building she'd rebuilt. Behind her, she caught fragments of laughter. Not the friendly kind. A couple of salesmen stood by a display table, glancing toward her and trading amused looks. One tugged at his shirt collar as if mocking the way she dressed. Another shook his head and smirked. She didn't need to hear the words to understand the meaning. She'd lived it too many times. Then another customer arrived, an older black man in a work uniform, hands a little rough, posture tired. He hovered near the entrance in the same quiet uncertainty Marissa had felt minutes earlier. No one approached him either. He drifted toward a compact car and looked at the price sticker as if it were written in another language. Across the room, staff continued to laugh and fuss over the wealthier-looking customers, their voices sweetened by practiced respect. Marissa's stomach tightened. This wasn't a single rude employee. It was a system. A showroom mood. A shared assumption about who deserved attention and who didn't. She let more time pass, refusing to rescue the moment by revealing herself. She wanted the truth. She wanted to see how deep it went. And the longer she stood there unnoticed, the more the environment exposed itself. Salespeople choosing comfort over fairness. Arrogance over curiosity, bias over basic professionalism. By the time she walked out, her face was calm, but her mind was burning. She didn't feel embarrassed. She felt betrayed. Northgate Motors wasn't just a business to her. It was her name on a building, her promise to a community. And inside those neon-lit walls, something rotten had been growing in plain sight. On Monday morning, the flagship staff arrived at a surprise they weren't prepared for. Every employee, sales, finance, service, reception was told to report to the showroom floor immediately. The usual hum of music and chatter was replaced by a tense quiet. People shifted on their heels, trying to read the air. Marissa entered from the side office corridor. Not in a hoodie this time, but in a deep navy suit that made the room feel smaller just by her presence. Behind her were two senior advisors and the head of HR. She didn't rush. She let each step land like a metronome, counting down. When the staff recognized her, a ripple moved through them. Some straightened quickly. Some tried to smile. A few looked confused, as if they were seeing her for the first time without the glossy photo frame protecting them. Marissa stood at the center of the floor, right beneath the chandelier lights, and let the silence stretch until it was uncomfortable enough to be honest. Then she spoke, measured, steady, and devastating in its calm. She told them about Friday, about walking in alone, about being ignored, about the laughter, about being refused help while others were treated like royalty. She didn't yell. She didn't dramatize. She didn't need to. The details were sharp enough to cut. Faces turned pale. Eyes dropped. The same employees who had smirked now looked like they wanted the floor to open beneath them. Marissa's voice lowered. She said she had built this company to be different, and she would not fund disrespect with her name. Then she read out a list of employees being terminated, effective immediately, half the floor. The words fell like stones. No one breathed. Dear audience, where are you watching from? Drop your city name in the comments. The firings were only the beginning. By noon, the showroom had changed shape. Empty desks, stunned survivors, and a sense that something sacred had just been broken open. Marissa didn't take joy in it. She took responsibility. She met privately with those who remained, explaining that this wasn't about optics, it was about values. A dealership that decided someone's worth by their skin or clothing was an A. Dealership she would lead. She brought in an outside equity and service training team. She restructured incentives so staff were rewarded for consistent treatment rather than cherry-picking easy commissions. She instituted mystery shopper checks across all locations, partnered with local community groups, and made it clear that any bias, spoken or unspoken, was grounds for termination. Within weeks, the reviews shifted again. Customers wrote about being welcomed, listened to, and treated like human beings. The older black man she'd seen on Friday came back after Marissa personally called him. He bought a car, but more importantly, he left shaking her hand with a dignity that should never have been questioned in the first place. STI.